Hi everyone, Mr. Neighbor here, and today we're going to get into percents. So percent of a number. The definition of percents, there's actually two of them. And the first one that we talk about is a percent is a part of 100. In a previous video, we talked about why we use percents. And we use percents to compare two things on an equal playing field. If we have one tub of liquid and a smaller tub of liquid, and we're talking about how full are they, well, the fullness is in respect to their individual containers. It doesn't matter according to both containers together. You're just looking at the individual one. So we look at how much of that one container is filled, and if we put it as a decimal and put the other one as a decimal, then they both can be compared. So decimals, if we look at this place value right here, that is the hundredths place. So parts per 100, we're looking at the decimal to this value right here. So that's parts per 100, why we divide a part by 100. The other way you can think about it is parts per whole. So maybe you don't have a thing that can be broken into 100 pieces. Well, just take the parts per the whole thing. And then you can do the same thing. You can divide and get out a decimal. You won't be dividing by 100, but you'll take whatever your part is and you'll divide by your whole thing now, whatever that number may be. Maybe your whole thing is a total of 5, so then you'll be dividing by 5 for this whole right here. So those are the two definitions you need to remember. Parts per whole is probably the more important one, but we like to get everything into hundreds, so then we can say it's parts per 100 and it makes it easy decimal. So for example, here's a line of 100 boxes, and there is only one filled in. So there's one part per 100, or there's one per whole, and the whole is 100. So 1/100, that percent is just 1%. Because remember, to get from the decimal to be a percent, we multiply by 100, and that will give us out 1. Okay. Oops. We can do that again. Here we have a box. It is 10 by 10. And here we have 10, 20, and 5 filled in. So this means we have 25 out of 100 filled in. Or we could look at it another way too. We could look at it as a box, and only a quarter of that box is filled in. That's another way we could look at it. In either case, this one we have 25 out of a whole of 100 boxes filled in. In this case, we have 1 out of 4 boxes filled in. Either way, when you divide these, you're going to get out a decimal 0.25. This one you probably wouldn't even have to divide, because 25/100 can be written as 25/100, which when you multiply by 100 really easily is 25%. 1/4, a lot of people know that that's 0.25 as a decimal. However, for more complex numbers, you might not know what that decimal is. So you could find a way to get this to be 100, which would be to multiply this by 25. And to keep the fraction equivalent, you would have to multiply by 25 in the numerator as well. So then you would get out 25/100. So if we look at this one down here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows filled in. So that means we have 50 boxes out of 100. So that's like saying we have this whole top half filled in. So we can think about it as 50 out of 100 boxes, or we can think about it as 1 out of 2 boxes. Either way, 50 over 100 simplifies to be that 1 over 2. So when we divide, we get out 0.5, and multiplying by 100, we would get out a 50%. So this is equivalent to 50%. They are the same thing. Okay. And this last example, you see everything filled in. You see 100 boxes, and all 100 are green. So 100 out of 100. When you divide that, you get out the number 1. So what that means is you have 100%. Because if I times 1 by 100, you get 100. So that would be 100%. So this is a visual of what percents are looking like, but remember, not everything's going to be broken down into 100 pieces. So if they're not, you just have to think about it as a long division problem. So scroll down and look at a few examples. Here we have 5% of 300. Now, when looking at percents like this, we're only going to do a few of these together. An easy way to do it is to think about what 1% is or what 10% is, and think about how many of those you have. So if I were looking at this 300, I know that 10% of it would be 30. So if I add 30 10 times, that would give me 300. But I only want 5%. So that means if I want half of this to get 5, I want half of this to get 5%. So 5% of 300 would be half of 30, which is 15. Another way to do it, you could think about this as what is 1% of 300? So 1% would be 3. I'm just dividing by 10 each time. But I need 5 of those. So I need 5 1% to make 5%. So if I have 5 of these, that would mean 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Still gives me out 15. Another way you could do is think about what the word of means in math. It means multiply. So this means 300 multiplied by whatever 5% is as a number. Percents, don't think about them as numbers. They're like a different category. So that is not a number yet. The number form of that is 0.05. Oops, I added an extra decimal there. So 0.05. Well, 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. And that's all I really have to do. I just have to look and see how many times I have to move my decimal. So my decimal's right here on the first number, so I didn't have to move it any. And my decimal's over here on this number, so I had to move it twice. So I have to move it twice here. So my answer will be the number 15 again. Now it's the number 15. It's not 15%, it's 15. 15 is 5% of 300. All right, let's try another one. Let's just do this one right here, 25% of 180. So one way you could do is to break it down into 10%. So 10% of 180 would be 18. But I need 25%, so that would mean another 10%. That would make it 20, so that's another 18. So now I'm at 36. And now I need 5% after that, which I know is going to be half of all the 10s. So that would be 9. So 18 and 18 is 36. Add another 9, which would be 45. So the answer would be 45 for this one. You could also think about 25% is really a fourth of 180. So you could divide 180 by 4. That might not be the easiest way for some people. You also could think about it as 0.25 times 180. Because remember, of means multiply in math. So that'd be a matter of doing 180 times 0.25. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9. Add my 0 because I'm starting in the 10th spot now. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. That 4 is no longer there. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. Add these together. 5, 4. Oops, just the 1 there. So it's getting a little tight, but if I move my decimal twice, I'll still get out 45. So there are just a couple of ways to work with percents of numbers.